What are the odds the Phoenix Suns rise up to home court advantage in the Western Conference? Plus, Haywood Highsmith's future, Royce O'Neal's future. Will the rookies play this season? It's a mailbag edition of PHNX Suns, and it's coming up next. Psychos and sickos unite for a mailbag edition of PHNX Suns. Of course, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365. Deposit 10. Place a bet for 5. Get $200 in bonus bets. Whole squad here, of course, minus the freckled Mamba. Noah holding it down for old time's sake. But I'm Erik. That's Gil. We got Espo and Stephen. But Espo, we are not the most important people here today.
Yes, we are. But I'd still like to say hi to everybody in the chat. Hi to Papa Ruby. I think we know who that is. Drew, we got to talk to Math to the power of Joe, my guy, Nash, the MVP. Sandman, Kara, always great to see you. Thanks for being on time today. Craig, and so many more of you. Thanks for being here. Hit that like button and enjoy the conversation today because you're a part of it as always.
So mailbag edition, boys. How we feeling?
You know, I'm feeling happy because, one, we get to answer your questions, and two, we are one day closer to basketball being back on our TV screens, specifically Suns basketball being back on our TV screens.
Yeah, and to that point, when it's back on your TV screen, we'll be here kicking it with y'all.
Ooh, that's right. Thursday, a watch party out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Wild Horse Pass. It's Suns. It's Spurs. I heard Dillon Brooks is actually going to come watch the game with us since he is suspended. He should, but we're going to have a great time. Food, drinks, the whole 9 yards. Come hang out with us. Tip-off is at 6:30. Pre-game will be live from the Upper Deck Kitchen and Bar at 6. We'll be there even before that if you want to come chop it up. Looking forward to seeing so many of you out there on Thursday.
Wemby, Highsmith, it's the battle for the West.
I mean, pretty much. We are going to get into where the Suns can go in the Western Conference. We'll talk about Haywood Highsmith here shortly. We'll talk about the rookies. Now, we are excited to answer your questions. However, I will say there were so many questions, which was great, from diehards on Twitter, on everything, right? We can't answer all of them on this show. But we're doing two special things this time around. We're going to do a members-only mailbag portion with maybe some of the more fun questions. That'll be coming out tomorrow. And then Gil here is going to be cracking the knuckles. He's going to be dusting off that keyboard.
Can we not do that into the mic? Oh.
Sorry, you didn't like that?
Oh, no.
Do you not like... Oh,
Dipping
dude.
the pen?
Dipping the pen, wiping off the keyboard. Is that okay with you, Espo?
Well, I don't want to know why he has to wipe off the keyboard.
Okay,
Sure.
okay. He'll be doing a written edition.
I was eating. You saw me eating.
Okay, that's fair.
I was eating over the computer a little while ago.
Nondescript Mexican, fast food Mexican restaurant
Yes.
on the keyboard.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right.
Gil will be doing a die-hard only mailbag written edition on our website sometime this week. Plus, we have a film session coming out this week as well on Haywood Highsmith that Steven's been putting together. PHNX Suns is kicking it into full gear going forward for this back part of the season.
They might say we're in postseason mode already.
It's a sprint to the finish line.
Push for the playoffs, man, which we will talk about here. And the Suns, like we talked about yesterday, added a new face for that push to the playoffs in Haywood Highsmith. Our first question comes from Topher, who is so consistent on Twitter, promoting the show, asking questions, so we appreciate you, Topher. Asks, is Highsmith signing planned towards moving O'Neal in a trade this summer? Also, how do the Suns intend to match up against bigger, stronger, more physical teams in the playoffs? Steven, do you feel like Haywood Highsmith and the signing, which also has an option for next year, could be indicative as to what the future of Royce O'Neal could be on this roster?
No, not necessarily. I feel like it was more so we have something that is a strength of ours, but we would like to strengthen in numbers, but also with a different type of impact. And we also know that we're going to need more of that in the case that someone either gets hurt or someone just doesn't have the execution level we need to see the level of success that they desire to see down this home stretch. But even more so, looking at postseason, whether that's play-in and playoffs or just in the play-in, they know they can't get to where they want to be without having absolutely elite level point of attack defense, and Haywood Highsmith addresses that.
Austin, welcome in. Sorry you have to be in Utah. I think that the Suns and Brian Gregory like to have flexibility options.
Sure.
And I think adding Highsmith, getting a look at him, if you believe he's part of the future, it does open up potential options to improve your roster in the summer. Well, I don't think you do it with the intention to trade Royce O'Neal. I think if you hit on Highsmith, it does open other opportunities in the offseason to better your team if you so choose to go down that path. And when you don't have draft picks, when you have some of that dead cap money, you have to try to provide yourself that wiggle room. And I think this does that.
And that was the conversation we had at the deadline when we talked so much about if you want to get value in return, you have to part ways with value. But the thing we kept coming to with Royce was, man, can you afford to lose that? Now you have this opportunity with Haywood Highsmith on a prove-it situation in some respects because it's non-guaranteed next year. If he does prove it, it takes away that stink if you have a deal that makes your team better and it requires you to part ways with Royce. But doesn't necessarily mean that you will, but you can. And as you said, Espo kind of takes away some of the sting from doing it.
I mean, it could impact the future for all of the wings on this roster, depending on how well he plays. Gil, do you feel like the second part of Topher's question on how the Suns maybe intend to match up against bigger, stronger, more physical teams, can Haywood Highsmith play into that, or is it just going to be maybe lean into our strengths versus your strengths?
I think it's the second part. That's what I was going to say. Styles make fights. And when you play a team that's bigger, what you can do is you have a lot of agile, smaller guys. If you play small ball and find a way that you want to lean into that, you can run guys off the court. How often do we see in the postseason bigger, more plodding big men get played off the court? I can see the Suns trying to do that. We've seen it happen in the past in the postseason, but it's just a matter of abusing that, I guess, that matchup or looking towards that matchup. And also on the other end of it, if a team is offensively just dumping it in their big men, that sometimes can disrupt their offensive flow. So the styles make fights part of that, and you play fast, play speedy, put these guys into mismatch situations. It could be a way that you use that lack of size in your favor because you have more speed and more agility on the court.
I think that's been overlooked because everybody wants to sit here and go, why did you not get a big body? Because there wasn't a big body out there that was going to make the difference. But adding a Highsmith then allows you to try to shift more into that. Okay, you're going to zig, we're going to zag. We're going to do this our way, and we're going to double down, as you said, Stephen, into what has made us successful, and we will force you to play in a way that might make you uncomfortable, to attempt to do that, and you hope that that's enough to upset somebody if you don't exactly match up perfectly with them. Because guess what? You have to force people into an uncomfortable situation in the playoffs and try to find any little advantage you can get. And I think they might be able to do this, especially with the way Highsmith is annoying on defense as well. You had that with Jordan Goodwin, other guys that put the pressure on, including, yes, even if you don't want to believe it, Dillon Brooks, and force those turnovers.
But the blow-by rates.
Oh my God, bro!
Stephen, he's a bad defender now. One stat has completely changed my mind.
Yeah, let this be a thought exercise for you. To answer the question, yeah, this definitely the latter as far as them leaning into their strengths. Like I mentioned yesterday, the Suns are a team that's dipped their toe in small ball, but didn't necessarily have the pieces to do it past like maybe one iteration of it. Now you have Amir Coffey and you have Haywood Highsmith. Those are two pieces that allow for you to lean into that line of versatility with small ball in mind significantly more than you did prior to last week. I think that part is very important for them because they've liked using their 3-guard lineups. And I think that's something that is a weapon for them. So if you can do what's shown to be a template for success for you more frequently and in multiple different ways, I think that allows for you, to your point and to Gil's point, to not feel like you're just stuck in mud, but you can dictate to your opponent, and that's the space you want to be in. And to the playoff part, that is what styles make fights. That is part of the fight. I think the other thing with it too for me is you don't want to always be reacting to what other people are doing.
Yes.
Houston's strength is not playing small ball. They can throw KD at the 5, but how often have we actually seen them do that this season? Not a lot. I think the Suns may have played more small ball with 84 possessions than Houston has so far this season. That's not a strength of theirs. That's not something that they want to do. For the Suns, something they want to do is downsize. If you can do that again in more ways than one or even 2 or 3, now you're in a position where you can have one button that you can press that might potentially swing a series for you.
I think about the Suns building the roster after losing to Denver in the playoffs, specifically to play Denver in the playoffs, and then not playing Denver in the playoffs and losing. So you never want to just go too far in one direction and play to your strengths. But a word that's been thrown around in that question and all of your answers is playoffs. And that brings us to our next two questions here. One from our Discord, our diehard, one of our most diehardiest diehards in Psycho Blue, who asks, what needs to be done to ensure that this season isn't looked at as a failure in light of raised expectations that have been earned by their performance so far, especially given injury adversity? And then we're going to pair that with another question from James Flett on Twitter. Thank you, James. Says, if they stay healthy, how high is their ceiling? Can they make the 6th or even the 5th seed? So let's lump those together, Espo. Is it playoffs or bust for the season to quote unquote not be a failure?
The only way this season could be a failure is if you go 0-27 the rest of the way.
So 1-26.
But let's be honest. Like, when you come in with the expectations, I understand expectations been raised. We all believe in this team, but the reality is there's not much that you could do to make this season a disappointment based on where you were. Now, raised expectations, I think being in the playoffs is where people are starting to expect it, but I really don't think, even if you wind up in the play-in, that somehow, this was a failure of a season. I don't see that as something that's realistic. Now, how high could they go? I think 4 is the ceiling. I know 3 is an outside shot. I think 4 is the realistic ceiling. I think 5 or 6 is most likely where they'll wind up. I think they pass the Lakers. I still think the Lakers are more fraudulent than a bad credit card.
No, we can go ahead and bring up the tweet of mine that we had put out yesterday. So you can look at the top if you want. I'll leave that for you. But specific to the bottom portion, so the Suns have a 15% chance at the 5th seed right now, a 22% chance at the 6th seed, and a 25% chance at the 7th. At the 4th, they have a 10% chance at this moment. And then at the 3rd, I think they have a 5% chance. So context-wise on what the percentage in opportunity is for them relative to their style of play and then everything else that's going on with them in the standings, there's a chance. And I think that we don't really know what the team's true kind of expectation level for themselves was. Obviously, they wouldn't share that with the public for a team that's undergone the changes that they have. But it's very clear that they think they should be in the playoffs. And I think Dillon Brooks' statement right before the All-Star break, I think he might have said it to me where I was asking him about the post-All-Star break stretch. And he said, yeah, we have a chance to get to the number 3 seed. And that would be right where we want to be. So that makes me believe that based off of how they've played so far, with 27 games left, they feel like they can get to as high as the 3rd seed, and that's part of what it is the ultimate goal that they're working towards.
I can tell you with certainty going into this season, at least the front office believed that even the play-in was not where they wanted to be, that they believed that getting into the playoffs was realistic. I had them at 38 wins. That got scoffed at, I'll tell you that much. So.
I think that 4 or 5 is what it feels like. As you mentioned, I think the Lakers are going to come back down to earth or just be shown for who they actually are.
That part.
I think that things are going to fall apart a bit with the Rockets, depending on how their chemistry is coming out of All-Star, depending
real tweets
on what's going on. Now, that being said, I think that it's between the Timberwolves and the Suns in that 4 or 5. I think the Timberwolves will continue to move up, adding Ayo Dosunmu, getting Mike Conley back, which is another conversation for another time. But those feel like the things. And then that's when the tiebreaker becomes important, right? You play the Timberwolves one more time. You've beaten them twice already. So it does kind of feel like a flip-flop type situation. We will at some point talk about the schedule. We looked at it a little bit. The Suns still have 7 back-to-backs left this season, which lead the league, by the way.
I don't get it. But we have one this weekend, Saturday.
Yeah, Sunday. But thankfully it's home and home. But that being said, I do think that there are a couple opportunities down the stretch for the Suns to ring off 4 or 5 in a row or win 4 out of 6. And that's what's going to be really important as far as moving up in the schedule, because this team, crazy enough, their longest win streak of the season is 5 games.
Yeah.
As good as they've been to be 9 games over 500, no win streak longer than 5 games. So if they can ring off 5 or 6 in a row, I think that was what helps you move up in the stage.
Well, and they have an easier schedule. They might have the back-to-backs, but they have a much easier schedule. Remember how much of a breath of fresh air it was when we got that Eastern Conference trip there, and then it's all these Eastern Conference teams, even though they were like good East teams, they were still Eastern Conference teams. Well, you play a lot more of these worse Eastern Conference teams coming up. Now, Charlotte is
strength of schedule is still a
Still
top
but
7
it's
in the
still
league.
It's easier than I think than what they've already faced, right? And so that's one thing to look at. Let me put another number on it. 2. That's how many games back the Suns are from the 4th seed, right? We can go with percentages and chances and, the Suns are right now in the 2 games. The Rockets lose 2 games, the Suns win 2 games. They're top 4 team in the West. To think that is not possible to me feels completely disrespectful to who this team is. I don't even think the Rockets fall off the face of the earth this latter part of the season. But the Suns, I think, can still get better if Jalen Green consistently plays, if Grayson Allen is back and this team is fully healthy with the addition of Haywood Highsmith. It might not matter what these other teams do if the Suns can, like you said, Gil, put together a long winning streak. And back to Psycho Blue's first question about what would constitute this season as a failure. I think if at any point we feel like they've lost the identity they've built, which will come with losses, which will come with probably falling out of the play-in. But Steven, if we look at this team and say, damn, first part of the season, they were ripping, they were going hard, and then post All-Star break, it all just fell apart. It was fool's gold. That's the only way that I would walk away disappointed.
Yeah, I think that ties into the kind of shifted expectations for me. I think I had them winning 41 games this season, something around there. If they don't get to the play-in, but also don't make the playoffs, I feel like that's where their expectations should be. Things can happen unexpected in this post-All-Star break stretch. They should be firmly in the play-in, and they should be making the playoffs based off of the level of play that they've shown and how well they played up against those teams that are top 10 or top 6 in the Western Conference. I think their record speaks for itself against that faction of the conference alone. They should be in that top 6 when it comes playoff time.
And looking at the numbers, too, you don't want to look too much in your rearview mirror, but you got a 3-game cushion over the Warriors right now, but because you didn't take care of business, the Warriors have that tiebreaker winning the season series 3-1. Then you're 5.5 games ahead of the Trailblazers. So I think that, to your point, Stephen, like a failure would be either you relinquish that 7 seed and the Warriors catch you, or they win with a tie, and then you have to play on the road in Golden State and you lose that game, and then you come back home and lose again to either the Clippers or the Trailblazers. I would look at that. It's not a failure is harsh, but I think that would be an immense letdown. Put it that way. It'd be a big disappointment if you go to the play-in tournament and drop 2 in a row, because I think that they're going to be 7th or 8th in the Western Conference. I don't think they'll fall into that situation where they have to win 2 in a row to make the playoffs. But yeah, I think at the very least, making it to the playoffs and getting some playoff experience for this new core is big for this team moving forward.
And I say, to that point, please don't sleep on Golden State.
Nope.
They just got Porzingis. If he's even the slightest bit healthy, and Steve Kerr said they traded for him because they believe that he can and will be healthy for them.
Yep.
Now they have the best version of Quentin Post that they can imagine. And that got them to the second round last year.
Evolved Pokemon.
And that got them to the second round
Post
last
to
year. So now they
Porzingis.
doubled down with that. And Porzingis and everything that he is as an individual player, but also in that team construct, that's not something you want to kind of just gloss over. I think them not having a tiebreaker with that and what they could potentially do post All-Star break keeps a fire underneath them and accountability to where you don't have any room for slippage.
Well, and you might play them in the play-in too, and that's
100%.
Well, it's a whole different
That's
story.
what I'm saying. If you can just outright, when
we get there. Mark in the chat, thanks for being here. Mark says, I hope this team didn't peak in January. That kind of relates to our next question, and we'll show you exactly what that question is on the other side of our first break. You've all seen the commercial by now for Mountain America Credit Union with Arizona's own Oso Ighodaro, because everybody needs a checking account, and you might as well get a checking account with built-in benefits: restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events. But specifically for Suns fans, they have something for you at the official credit union of the Phoenix Suns. It's the home of the exclusive Suns card and the exclusive Mercury card as well, both available as debit and credit cards, so you can get that MyStyle checking account, or you can go over to the credit cards. No fee, available as low rate, cashback, or rewards cards options. Mountain America is here to guide you forward on your financial journey. So get your Suns card today, get your Mercury card today, and make MyStyle your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/Suns to learn more. Insured by NCUA. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans on approved credit.
I am a big believer in life and ensuring that you have multiple plans and ways to go about things. And Shopify can help you do that. I know Gil, for a matter of fact, already has one of these plans. The man makes handmade Mardi Gras beads.
Wow.
And he needs a online shop to sell those kind of things, right?
A little late to the party.
So I said to Gil, you got to go to Shopify because these guys over there take care of you, help you build your entire company right online. They've got the great online selling tools that we know and love. PHNX and ALLCITY, we use Shopify to sell all our shirts, hats, and other merchandise that we sell. You've probably experienced yourself, but it's not just that. They help you create your website. They help you with product descriptions and social media marketing and so much more. They also have AI tools designed to help you maximize your sales. That's the way you use AI, as a tool. So turn your big business idea into cha-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. Cha-ching.
That's what I need over at Bet365. I've been saying it over and over and over again. This is going to be my push for the playoffs. This is my half-ish of the season over on Bet365 because I've been studying. I've been in the app. I've been looking at the over 780,000 live events they have each year, the early payout offers. How can I take advantage of that for the NBA? And I've even dipped my toes into some betting on the other sports as well that are going on right now because the Bet365, it's never ordinary. And if you're not like me and you've never used Bet365 before, well, good news for you. New customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up. Use code PHNX365. Deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit primegambling.az.gov. And watch out, I'm getting back in the positive, and I'm starting on Thursday.
You know, Eric, I'm cheering for your success and you getting back into positive on Thursday, and I will be excited to see the look on your face when you win.
That's
but
right.
If you don't win, you guys can see the look on Eric's face at our watch party at Gila River. Wild Horse Pass will be at the Upper Deck Grill starting pregame at 6 o'clock on Thursday. Suns, Spurs, and Eric will have his picks together. And again, you get to see the look of excitement on his face when he calls his shot and he gets it right again.
You're going to get to see this man cry live in person.
I was trying to be positive, but let's be real.
I don't say this in a complimentary sense, but watching a game with me is an experience. That is something that I
can confirm.
I will say. Especially against the Spurs, because God, I hate the Spurs. Okay. We are going to answer a lot of your questions today on PHNX Suns for a mailbag show, so please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We won't get to all of them, but we will have a members-only video out tomorrow with some more questions, and then, of course, Gil will be tapping into... I was going to say something else, but Espo would be mad if I cracked my knuckles or anything. Gil will be writing a mailbag as well for diehards on our website.
Hey, facts, Sean.
Sean, you come out and you buy him a quadruple whiskey neat, and... I can't guarantee he'll drink it, but maybe I will.
Sean, when we do a watch party for the playoffs, will you fly out to Arizona, please? I need to meet you.
You Venmo me the money. I will buy it for Steven.
There's no way he's gonna drink it though.
I thought he was about to say a plane ticket. I was about to say, okay.
Whoa.
There we go. Let's go flying him out. Let's go, Sean. All right,
I'll fly Steven out to you, and you can buy him a quadruple whiskey neat.
All right. Well, from quadruple whiskey neat to a neat question that's very direct from Jim Rose Circus on Twitter. Will they start playing defense again? Everything else will work itself out.
Shout out to Jim Rose, a longtime listener and viewer of the program from way back in the day, even before the PHNX days. Look him up. He had quite the life back in the 90s.
I mean, with the name Jim Rose Circus, man. I mean, I believe it.
Look it up.
Do you believe, Espo, the Suns will start playing defense again? Do you feel like they stopped?
They certainly struggled a little bit in the last few games before the All-Star break. I do think and I do believe that they will come back fresh, recommitted to it, and playing the style that we've seen all season. I don't think a handful of games changes that, especially I think they had hit a wall about 3 games out from the All-Star break with all the minutes that a lot of these guys had logged that they hadn't previously in their careers. They'll get back to it.
No, if we could get that tweet that I mentioned earlier back up one more time. So now we want to look at the top portion. you see that they are 5th in half-court defensive rating, and they're 9th in terms of their general defensive
But think
rating.
about the blow-by rate, Steven.
That's blow-by rate included. For those that
my world is
might not
shattering.
understand that part, yeah. So that tells me this is a team that knows what their routes to success are, and they understand that a lot of those routes to success come from how well they execute on the defensive end. They're one of the best transition offensive teams in the league. The best way you can get into transition is by getting stops in multiple ways. So grabbing boards and pushing in transition with hit aheads, cross-court skips, all of that stuff. Forcing turnovers, deflections, being able to just literally take the possession away from your opponents. Obviously blocking shots mixed in that as well. That's what is akin to this team being the best version of itself that we've seen all season long. So to answer the question, with the expectations that they've placed upon themselves and the level that they've shown to play at, they know they have to play defense to get there, so 100% they will.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And they got the reinforcement coming now, too. Haywood Highsmith is a guy who's all systems go. We've talked at length about what he brings to this team defensively. And the biggest thing is depth, because we talk about the style that this team plays. It's a relentless style. And that wears on you, especially when you have been dealing with the level of injuries that you've dealt with this season. You don't have as many fresh bodies to have and continue to play that way. Well, coming out of the break, you're recharged. You added a guy who's going to do the things you want to do, and you can just keep having different guys make it difficult for opposing offenses. So I think that that's what we'll see from this team. We'll just see a rejuvenated defense, because it fell off a little bit, but even after falling off, it's still one of the best in the league.
Hey, Aiden, did you tell Haywood Highsmith to listen to the podcast?
Yeah,
Hey,
for real.
We've got our insider.
Yeah,
Aiden
but
met
insider.
I'm
Haywood
looking
Highsmith.
at you right now.
Apparently, he seems taller than 6'5", which is good for those who have been asking for a center. You just got one. And was a super cool dude. Seems excited to be here.
And
Sounds
it's
like
all
perfect
based
fit.
on a 1.5-minute conversation, which is more than any of us have had.
Aiden said, duh, obviously. Well, if you're in the chat, hey,
Well, I had to ask, so it's not duh. You should have told us that off the
That's
rip,
real.
but I'm appreciate
Aiden
you.
says,
Go
dude,
crazy.
his arms are long.
Yeah.
Well, they better be
He's a
hitting the like
condor.
button. Okay, hit that like button with those long ass arms, Haywood.
How about all of you, even if
yeah.
you got T-Rex arms, hit that like button, all right?
Aiden says, bring him on the pod. Big bro, you're the one who's the connection. You're the insider.
like
Get him
that.
on the pod for us. You've actually talked to him. I think the Suns are going to benefit a lot from this All-Star break, the emphasis on break, because letting their bodies heal and rest, and then hopefully coming back for this back part of the season healthy, which then allows people to maybe conserve a little bit more energy on the offensive end to put in on the defensive end. Plus, we've seen improvement on some of these guys' individual defense, like Oso Ighodaro has just continued to go up and up a level. If Ryan Dunn, if Haywood Highsmith can go in there and shore some things up, I'm not worried about this team's defense at all. The shooting is something we could talk about, and we will a little bit later. But I want to keep on talking about from this team perspective. Deborah, of course, a diehard, a member, and in almost every single PHNX show every single day. So a true diehard. And Deborah asks, what adjustments do you think Coach Ott will make during the second half? I think naturally, Stephen will go to somebody who's going to be on Coach Ott's coaching staff probably sometime in the next 5 years. And you, what do you think adjustments he might make in the second part of the season?
Yeah, I think this is a good question. I think the sequencing, no different than with albums and the way songs come in succession with one another. I think the last question about the break and then this one about adjustments is important, because for head coaches, it allows them a time where there are no other games. So you can assess what it is that your team is doing, what it is that you've been and your group has been in approach in terms of game plan, what's been working, what hasn't been working. Does that mean you need to change something? Is it simply needing to do something better rather than just switching or shifting from something completely? And how to go about doing that. I think the how to go about doing that part, and Haywood Highsmith as well as Amir Coffey being signed at the timing with which they were, I think those things matter, because they're looking at, okay, it's not our style of play that's the problem. It's hard to keep up that level of exertion of energy and multiple efforts for sure. What about, instead of changing things, what if we have more bodies to facilitate to this beast of a system that when we are playing to our strengths, we see what it does to our opponents. So now you can win on attrition to your opponents rather than that attrition working against you. I think that's as big of an adjustment as anything. I think having these two wings that they've just now brought in allows for them to play more small ball. Like I talked about yesterday, only 84 non-garbage time possessions. With that, like 138 offensive rating, which is astronomical. The defensive rating is in the 120s, which is putrid. So finding a middle ground with that, I don't think the offense hurts with either of those two being involved with those lineups, but I think the defense gets significantly better, more versatile, lineup versatility as well. So I think I start with those two things, and then the last one, them being able to just continue to play fast in the half court. Not really adjustments, just more so do betters, but doing better in process more than anything.
Sorry, I want to give Drew a quick shout out here, who says Highsmith at the point of attack gives Dunn a chance to be Dillon's roving/strong safety in the second unit, a better role for him with less pressure. And I think we've talked a lot about Haywood Highsmith, Espo in general, but they are presumably adding a rotation piece, which is an adjustment in itself, not just for the team, but like individual players' roles and how they're going to be asked to play when they're on the court with him.
Yeah, I think that Ott's going to have to adjust in that way, figure out, can you use Highsmith? Is Coffee more of a break class in case of emergency? How will that play? What's Ryan Dunn's minutes look like? Those will all be things. I also think rotational adjustments towards ends of games. Are you going to play Mark Williams more? I think he kind of showed more of that before the break. I think he's learning these things as he gets more experience as a head coach. Those kind of adjustments. But yeah, you're going to have to make a lot of adjustments when it comes to what your rotation looks like now that you've added multiple pieces and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I get this down to 9 guys, maybe max 10 for the playoffs? And what do we do from a defensive perspective? How do I adjust it when we need more offense? Those are the kind of things that I think he's going to work on.
I know we'll get to rotation talk here in a little bit, but one thing I think about, and I'm excited to see, and you talked about it a little bit already, Stephen, but just different types of lineups. Like there have been so many times this season where we're like, man, is Jordan not really going with, Colin Gillespie and Jordan Goodwin and like Jamari Bouye all on the court? Like we'll see some more stuff like that this year, but I always think about those flow charts where it's like, if this is the case and go here, then that and that. And I think that that's kind of what we're going to see to get ready for the postseason. If this lineup is big, we'll go for this. And then that means this. If not, we'll go for this. So I think that is what we'll see Jordan not kind of tinker with and perfect, because when you get to that there's 27 games left, and the next 5 or 6 are going to go by before we know it. Next thing you know is 20 games until the season's over. And I think that if everything is figured out when there's 15, 12 games left in this season, that's a great place to be. Look at where you're sitting in the standings, but they'll have the rotations, but not just the rotations, the lineups that you'll go to for different types of circumstances all figured out by then.
They'll also have Jalen Green, who will probably change a lot of things as well. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Will they have Kaman Maluach? That brings us to our next 2 questions here. Thank you for your question, Deborah, which was in our Die Hard Discord. So are these next 2.
Can I ask Deborah one question?
Sure.
I need to know, are you AI or what do you do that you can be in all our shows? It's just one question.
I mean, that is a high compliment.
Let us know, Deborah.
Because
we love it.
Deborah, I hope you know, we talk about some of y'all off screen, and we're always like, how does Deborah find time to be in every single
and
show?
she's in DC,
and she's like engaged. It's not just like, hey, hit the like button. She's like actually like in participating in the conversation.
Had to reverse mailbag it there, sorry.
Yeah. So let us know. Hey, whoa,
hey.
MVP.
Woo.
Kevin just decided to do that. Tell you what, Aiden, since you became an MVP, we're going to read your question at the end of the show. You were our first cut. We said, we don't want to talk about Aiden's question.
That's not true.
But no,
some of us fought for it. Eric said, that Aiden guy needs to be a member.
I was just jealous. You got to meet Haywood Highsmith. I didn't.
Never with the most simple answer you could think of. I work nights.
That's lit. But you're up during the day.
Yeah, that makes it even more dedicated.
That's real.
But you're in every postgame show too. Shout out to Deborah, man. Shout out to Deborah.
Deborah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
you are appreciated. Very, very appreciated.
If you didn't grow up in the Phoenix market, viewing West Coast stuff from 3 to 2 time zones away, it weighs on you.
I learned that when I went home for the holidays.
Yeah, for sure. So shout out Deborah. She's a trooper for real.
Yeah, shout out Deborah. Shout out Mario's in here too. Mario, we'll get to your question in a bit. Aiden, I'm not saying this just to make sure you stay around. You are the second to last question we'll be answering. today. We're going to have 2 questions coming up from our Discord, though. Ironhide asks, what are your thoughts on Kaman Maluach and his second half of the season? I understand you don't want to overwhelm the kid, but he was a number 10 pick, and at the same time, is an NBA experience the best way to improve? Curious what y'all think and if we'll see more of him soon. Also, a question from Lexville in our Die Hard Discord asks, can Kaman Maluach minutes unlock Oso at the 4 in limited minutes and thus helping the Suns' rebounding/twin tower matchups that the Suns have struggled with this season? So let's start with our overall thoughts on Kaman Maluach. Give me an over-under, guys. Games played. Actually, give me over-under. There's 27 games left. 10 and a half. 10 and a half times that Kaman Maluach just logs minutes during a game for the rest of the season.
I lean under. And I will pair that with my answer to the question. Well, I lean under. I'll let you guys.
Under, unless there's something that you do not want happen.
Under, unless the Suns are blowing teams out. They played a lot of close games, a lot of clutch games. I imagine because of that, we probably don't see him play much, if at all, in this kind of home stretch of the regular season.
I want to say over, but I think even if he does play over those games, it's not anywhere near the double digits that he was able to play against OKC. This has been an internal struggle for me as a fan this entire season. I've been so happy with the results of this season and where the center rotation is, which is 2 very competent plus centers who are positive on the court. I would have loved to be able to see at least what you have in Kaman Maluach, even if it's not exactly the answer that you'd want. And part of me does want to see him get on the court. And we saw some flashes against OKC, not their starting lineup, but OKC's 3 deep would be a lot of other teams 2 deep. And I really like what he can bring. So I wish that we'd be able to see him more. We are an injury away, or as Aiden says, a back-to-back from seeing him play some more significant minutes. But I don't know if he's ready. And I will say, from somebody who expected that Kaman Maluach would be the backup center by the start of this season, that expectation has completely shifted for me over this year. I wouldn't be shocked if we see him in single-digit games for the rest of this season. And then this entire summer, we're talking about what could Kaman Maluach be next year.
And my thing is, it's okay that he's not ready.
Yeah.
And I know it's frustrating. And I know that especially with a number 10 pick, a top 10 pick, that you are hinging a lot of your future hinges on him. But it's okay. I think that the way that players develop has shifted so much. He's one of the youngest guys in his draft class, and I get the youngest guy is Cooper Flagg. It's a little bit of a different case because this is a guy who learned how to play the game in the last 5.5, 6 years. It's all still new to him. He's in the NBA, and he's also shown flashes. I think that we should be very encouraged by what we saw against Oklahoma City. I know I mentioned that it was garbage time, but the guys on the court with him was Jared McCain, a guy who would have been Rookie of the Year last year had he not gotten hurt, and 3 guys who played legitimate minutes in the NBA Finals last year. So it wasn't like he was just playing against some nobodies out there, and there's no nobodies in the NBA. But I think the next step for him is what it looks like when he's playing next to some of the top-tier talent on the Suns, because they will make life easier for him. But it's important that they don't do that until he's ready. I think that there's a lot of ways for him to grow. I think development is important, and playing in the G League and getting comfortable in himself and then taking that confidence with him to the NBA level is the next step. And I trust his coaching staff to not put him into that fire until he's ready. And it'd be a way different conversation if this team wasn't playing for the postseason right now. But it's just different expectations for the team, which means you can be a little bit slower with his development.
Can I play the asshole role? I mean, I usually do. That
You're asking for permission this time?
I mean, that is my role on the program. I'm concerned about his lack of minutes for a top 10 player. I mean,
Sure.
Mario brings it up, and there was an article on it by Kellen. And usually I'm not in a panic mode, but you start to look at the list of guys, and Gil, you and I went through this and looking at the list of guys that had played as little as he had. That starts to be concerning to me, just because the best teller of the future is looking at the past and what goes on. For a 10th pick, it's concerning. Now, I see the potential. I've seen the flashes. I've seen the G League tape, and I believe there's something there, but history leads us to believe something completely different.
Yeah. I don't think he's ready to take on NBA level minutes against main rotation players quite yet. Will he have moments? 100%, because he's not a bum or a scrub in any capacity. But is he up to the level in execution past like a 3 or 4 minute stretch? I think that's where it gets a little tougher. There's like people say, yes, you can't develop if you're not getting minutes. But if you're giving too many minutes, you can also stunt any bit of growth that you might be working to. Exactly. So there's like that goes both ways. And that's the dialogue that the Suns are having. Is he ready yet? If we don't feel like he's ready yet, we can't just throw him in the fire because, for one, we're working towards something as an organization right now in a kind of redemption season as they're working to get back in good faith with the fans, but also get back into a positive light outlook-wise the rest of the league. And they're also trying to prove something to themselves more than anything else. So if he's not ready quite yet, and you're getting beyond quality minutes from Oso, and you're getting even better minutes from Mark than you maybe expected, especially considering how available he's been more than anything, you don't have to. You're not pressed to put him in there if he's not ready. That leads to that kind of gray area that they can operate in with that. That's also why you have the G League. And to that point, just in watching him on that level, when he's going up against close to, if not outright, NBA talents that just aren't in that particular role at the moment, it hasn't been the most like determining kind of return on results that you're seeing from him. Is he having moments? 1,000%. But those moments are met with foul trouble at times, met with getting beat on the boards at times in situations where he should get it, met with the lapse in defensive coverage at times where we've seen with Jordan out, if you're having mistakes there, he has no problem taking you out and having somebody else there that can do that for you.
Should we look at it through like a draft and stash lens almost?
That's what I was going to say. The pushback I was going to have is like, it could be kind of like there's so many guys, like I think back, like Jonas Valanciunas didn't come to the NBA for another 2 years after he was drafted by the Raptors. We see guys who, because of injury, redshirt a year or two, and they don't play any minutes, like Chet Holmgren, Simmons, Joel Embiid didn't play 2 seasons, Blake Griffin. And like this is kind of just like a year, especially given how fresh basketball is for him. It's a year, and I think like to cross sports for a second, I think back to a former #1 overall pick in the NFL that I know and love, who played too soon. And in playing too soon, you build bad habits.
Josh Rosen?
You build bad habits.
Said #1 pick.
You build bad habits.
The Cardinals would never take Josh Rosen #1.
Yeah. And then you're basically a rookie 2 times over because you have to unlearn the bad habits that you develop because you're not ready to play yet when you're on the court or on the field. So I think that what he's doing and getting those bad habits and learning, honestly, he's still learning how to play the game, learning how to play the game at the G League level. So when you put him out there in the NBA level, you can trust him to play next to Devin Booker and Jalen Green. And the last thing I'll say about him, and we talked about this is a guy who played quality minutes as a 17-year-old against LeBron James and Joel Embiid and Devin Booker and all these guys for South Sudan just last summer, and also showed a lot for himself playing at that school in Durham last year as well. So the talent is definitely there. I think it's just him learning how to play the game at the NBA level, which a lot goes into that.
Yeah, look, okay. Would I expect more from him going into this season? I'd be lying to you. I literally on tape of me saying that I expected more, right? So I'm not going to sit here and move the goalposts. That being said, I'm tired of people acting like this kid has not shown good basketball on tape or on film at any level. Like, come on, let's be a little bit realistic here. Let's also, and I want to take a top 10 pick. I get it, right? Let's just take a look at the teams that selected around Maluach, right? There's only one other team that's somewhat decent, and that's the Toronto Raptors, who picked before the Suns, took Colin Murray-Boyles, who's been a decent rotation piece for them.
He'll be all rookie this year for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Every other team from 5 until the Spurs at 14 are trash. The Suns are the best team in that stretch. At 5, you have the Jazz, then the Wizards, then the Pelicans, then the Nets, then you have the Raptors and the Suns. Okay, those are 2 decent teams back to back. Then you have Memphis, who's been bad this year. Then the Bulls, whose pick hasn't even played at all for other reasons. Then you have New Orleans, who takes Derek Queen. Like, you have all these other teams where rookies are allowed to go out there and make mistakes and play. Maluach is kind of the victim of the Suns' success, not just at his position, because they traded for a starting center the night that they drafted him, which caught us all by surprise again on
still
video.
Looks strategic, I think.
And, well, I think it had to be, right? Because look at how the season went out, which seems like it's part of the plan. Oso Ighodaro was a 2nd-round pick. He is a bona fide, beautiful backup center for this team, and maybe could end up growing into a starting level player for this team, maybe with Maluach, to Lexville's question on those 2 pairing together. Kamal Maluach is not promised to be good, but I think it's a swing the Suns front office needed to take. If the idea of Kamal Maluach works out, which I still believe it's going to, and I think we would have seen a lot more of it if this team was as bad as everybody expected them to be this year, that is a game-changing type of player for this franchise. I still think that his ceiling is higher than the ceiling of a Derek Queen or a Cedric Howard, even though they've put together much better rookie campaigns, and I think those are two very good players. But at his size, his skill level, how raw he's been despite the impact he's shown, and his positional fit, not just with Devin Booker, but the other good young players in this franchise, Rasheer Fleming, Oso Ighodaro, Ryan Dunn, Colin Gillespie, if you want to throw him in there as well. To me, it's been the right swing. Does it suck he hasn't played? Yeah. Do I think that he could be fun? Sure. But this team is good. If he was on the Nets, if he was on the Wizards, if he was on the Jazz, if he was on the Trailblazers, or Memphis, who traded with the Trailblazers, if he was on the Bulls, if he was on the Hawks, he'd be getting a significant amount of minutes and probably be close to a double-double, honestly, just because that's the type of impact that he could bring.
I will say this, and Stephen, you'll appreciate it. Trust your eyes. If you go back and just see what he did in spots at Duke, that he was able to figure out and learn how to do on the fly and impact the game just by being as big as he is. It's going to take time to learn how to do that at the NBA level. And I've heard guys talk about it. You've heard LeBron James talk about it. You've heard other NBA players talk about it. There are a lot of guys in the NBA who don't know how to play basketball.
Yep.
They're just really good off of pure gifts and talent that they have, but they never learned how to play the game. And I think that it counts for something that this franchise is being very deliberate and intentional about teaching him how to play the game. And yeah, he's not a finished product at 19. He's not ready to go at 19, but I'm concerned if he's not ready to go at 21. That's the big picture. And it's really hard to be that patient with somebody, but I think he is a project unlike very many projects we've ever seen in the NBA.
I think you guys bring up, I'm torn, right? Because I believe in the eye test, what we've seen in the G League, in college, in the Olympics. And then I see those stats, and there's always going to be somebody that eventually breaks the mold of some kind of stat like that. And I hope it is Kamal Maluach who breaks free of playing this few minutes as a number 10 or higher pick. I hope that's the case. It just, that little voice again gets in my head. I saw Marquise Chris. I saw Dragan Bender. I saw Josh Jackson.
Yep.
And I'm like, please just, I saw Jalen Smith while he was here. Please just, I hope
eventually kind of figured it out, but
we're scarred. I mean, we're scarred.
We're scarred.
We're scarred, especially with top picks, especially with bigs, right? And we haven't gotten the instant gratification, and it hasn't helped. And this is the last thing I'll have to say on this. It hasn't helped that this is looking like an all-time draft class. Cooper Flagg is who Cooper Flagg is. Con Knipple is looking incredible. VJ Edgecombe is looking awesome. Dillon Harper, when we've been able to see him have minutes, he's looked solid, even though maybe VJ and Con have the argument to have gone over him in the draft. Ace Bailey, the jury's still out on, but Trey Johnson's been great in Washington. Jeremiah Fears, they've been loving him in New Orleans. Denham over in Brooklyn, as Eddie Johnson would call him, has been a solid player. Colin Murray Boyle's all rookie team. Like, I mean, and then right afterwards, you have Cedric Howard and Derek Queen and 2 of the 3 picks after come on. Like, it doesn't help that this is looking like it's going to be an all-time loaded draft class, but that does not mean that Kamal Maluach is going to be bad. So
the thing I continue to mention, and I keep it in the back of my mind, Driving and Delivering brought it up in the chat. Cedric Howard, man, I feel like he's a lot of what the Suns have been wanting. I feel like he's a little bit of what they're getting with Haywood Highsmith being brought into the fold. Obviously, Howard is a more offensive, has a lot more offensive potential as a creator and a shooter and off the dribble and all of that. But I think that kind of mold, what they brought in with Coffey, what they brought in with Highsmith, I feel like if they had that earlier in the season, first, for one, I think that addresses the 3 directly. Now, obviously, they have long-term plans that we're not privy to, so we're speaking from a certain perspective that just flat out ignorant to a certain extent. But I think it is fair for us to also assess what we're seeing and what we're seeing from pieces in other contexts that are not the Suns. That's one name that I continue to keep in mind. But the last thing I'll say is, remember, the tortoise is the one that run that race.
yeah,
And I'll leave that there as far as we continue to assess what Maluach is at this present moment and going forward.
I think that's a great note to end the Maluach conversation on. A couple more questions for a mailbag. We'll do it all on the other side of our final break. If you're looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd, well, the answer is simple. It's Branded Bills. Right now, their dedicated team is ready to help you create the exact custom apparel that you need. Whether it's snapbacks, truckers, fitted beanies, or tees, they have you covered with performance and style. The performance part of it is my favorite. They're my favorite hats to go out and do things in. Whether it's going to be hot outside here soon enough, just go grocery shopping, you're sweating. You want to go on a hike, you want to go to a football game or any sporting event, guess what? They're not going to wear down. You could throw them in the washer afterwards. They come out looking brand new. They also partner with the Phoenix Suns. You can get exclusive Phoenix Suns Branded Bills hats at Mortgage Matchup Center, and they're a local company. You know us here at PHNX. We love supporting local. Branded Bills has gone national. They are having partnerships with 40 universities across the entire country, but it all started in Mesa, Arizona. So once again, try out Branded Bills and head to brandedbills.com to use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. That's brandedbills.com. Use code BBPHNX.
No, that's not Noah driving his muscle car around the mean streets of Detroit. That is NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series weekend, March 5th through the 8th at the most beautiful venue in all of Arizona sports. I'm sorry to all the other venues, but Phoenix Raceway is where it's at, out there in the Estrella Mountains. It's just a gorgeous venue. Where else can you watch a sporting event from the side of a mountain? It is unbelievable. You're going to want to be out there, and it's not just because of that. No sport in town's going to get you closer to the action than they do at Phoenix Raceway, because you're going to get to go inside the garage, walk the track, meet the drivers, and catch a pre-race concert. You're going to be able to do that by upgrading to the Desert Diamond Casino infield experience. I've done it. I've been out there for that, and it is unbelievable. Nothing like it. You're going to love it. Seats are going faster than the cars are, so make sure to get your tickets at the link in our description.
Thank you all for joining us here for a mailbag edition of PHNX Suns. Ton of you showing up on a Tuesday as we get ready for the push for the playoffs on
Tuesday.
Thursday. Taco Tuesday.
Fall?
Not
Taco
quite.
Fall.
Not quite.
Matt Ishbia made Taco Fall in the All-Star Celebrity Games. But hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because we're going to keep on answering questions here. I believe Mario is in the chat, and Mario has our next question. Says, in the playoffs, you usually see an 8-man rotation. Who are your 8? So I think we can
get the four.
Let's group think this, right?
Sure.
So Devin Booker, 1.
I think it makes it.
Healthy Jalen Green,
Yes.
2.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Brooks,
Yes.
3.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Williams,
Yes.
4.
Absolutely.
Grayson.
Grayson Allen, 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Royce.
6.
Colin Gillespie, 7.
Colin, 7. Oso,
So you get
8.
number 8.
Jordan Goodwin.
Oso's
9.
8.
Mhm.
That's 8.
You're
You
going-
can't just
you're
play
going-
Mark Williams.
But you're going 9.
They're
Yeah,
going,
you have to.
they're-
Going 9.
I
Because-
think they might go 10.
I think.
I mean, they might ask.
Your
I
starting center
genuinely
can't
think
play
so.
over 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So you automatically
That gets
are
a
gonna
little
have to-
easier to navigate when you get into one game every 2 to 4 days in the
But
first round. I hear you, but
He's not used to playing it.
I hear you, but I'm also trying to frame it around a question.
Yeah.
I think if Mark doesn't have to worry about playing a game or even potentially practicing between game 1 and game 2 of a series, which might have 4 days between, 3 days between, that helps him a lot. He's someone that would greatly benefit, no different than like a Kawhi Leonard does in the playoffs.
Why do you have to though? Let's go the.
Oh no,
why do you
that's
have
the
to
other
get
part.
under to a
That's
9-man
regular
rotation?
conventional thinking. Like Mike D'Antoni is a lot of the reason why
6-man
most people
rotation.
look at the playoffs. Honestly, he even did 7 when he was in Houston, bro. They were playing only like 2 guys off the bench against the Warriors for the best team that's been on this side of the Bulls in the 90s. So that's like conventional thinking. I appreciate the question, but I do think this is a thought exercise of opening things up, because look at what Indiana was doing in the playoffs last year. Look at what teams that play a similar cloth of basketball to the Suns did on that stage. To the point, the war of attrition, you just can't play only 8 guys if you're playing that hard with those many efforts for that long as your template for success. You have to open it up. You have to be unconventional.
You lose your advantage.
100%.
Well, Haywood
Works
Highsmith
against
not
you,
a name we threw out there. So let's flip it, okay? Let's say Jamari Bouye converted.
It's
from a two-way.
Goody. It's Goody and Haywood.
What we
for
expect,
me.
right?
Goody and Haywood for me.
Yeah.
Let's flip the question though. Let's say Bouye fills out the roster, okay, converted to a full-time contract.
Mhm.
Who doesn't play?
Bouyer's out.
Bouye doesn't play?
Hold on. Mario, absolutely. Tibbs had 5.
Is that a 5-man?
Yes.
That's
A
funny.
little comedic relief,
Yeah.
yes.
So we know Jamari, unless there's an injury, won't play.
No.
He's not playing.
No.
The rookies
on.
aren't playing.
Come on,
Mhm.
Rasheer,
Mhm.
Ryan Dunn.
Yeah, no Ryan Dunn.
Oof.
So it's 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody else. I think even Ryan Dunn, I think plays in the playoffs.
I think if you're looking at Haywood, and I mean, if you think Amir Coffee,
Oh, and
provides you
Amir
something-
Coffee.
So I think
Who's not playing, man?
yeah, I think it's Dunn or Coffee doesn't get anything. One of those two gets shut out.
I think it's as weird as it feels. You kind of look at all those guys as one player in their rotation. So like Dunn, Coffee, depending on what we see from Highsmith, like that could be like a 3-headed monster of kind of like they all could be asked to do the same thing for 5 minutes, and then that's a 15-minute rotation as far as like the spot they fill in. Obviously, they have some differences in the way they play the game, but as far as the role they're asked to play in those minutes could more or less be the same. And obviously, it's all very matchup dependent as well.
It's clear the Suns are not like most other playoff teams. If they end up getting there, it's going to be a by committee. But also, you got to have your stars play well. That's really it at the end of the day, and everybody else got to file in. Speaking of their stars and the number one guy that we talked about there, Devin Booker, next 2 questions revolve around his shooting. First one from Twitter from Vitruvian says, can the Suns create consistent space around Book for the second half of the season? That's the only question I really have. He's one of the most doubled players in the league, and his offense gets throttled because he almost never gets open looks except for in transition. And then Maze Devil followed up with a question in our diehard Discord, says, do we see anything different about Book's jumper in game compared to what we saw in the 3-point contest? Like, is being blitzed or doubled at the rate he is forcing him to maybe rush his shot and involuntarily tweak his form?
I think it's more about how he's getting the ball to shoot the shot when it comes to that form. And, Jalen Green's how you're going to get him better looks and get him better shot quality as well. I think those are the 2 things. Jalen Green relieves some of that pressure, and then getting him, putting him in a better position to get some of those threes. Even if he still has the same amount of pull-ups, you're getting more, catch and shoots opportunities with it.
Yeah, I had to double check it because I thought in my mind I was tripping. I was like, that's not the number. Y'all know how many catch and shoot threes Devin Booker is averaging per game?
1.
0.4.
Yeah, per game, but catch and shoot attempts a game.
0.
I would say 1.1.
1.9.
1.9, okay.
Granted, he's shooting 38% on those. That's something that you can get a whole lot more out of. I think that naturally aligns with Jalen Green being healthy and sustained and playing a certain level of minutes to where his impact and his rhythm, where he is with his hamstring injury, can turn more corners in a literal and figurative sense. If he's getting paint touches, help's got to come from somewhere. At some point, they're going to manipulate things to where help comes on Jalen now, or help comes on a roll from Mark Williams because of the pick and roll with Jalen, and now Devin is on the isolated tag on the backside. That template, but also Jalen just like not with screens, like Jordan mentioned to me before the break. If he's just going to get paint touches, that's going to cause somebody to get a reaction. Similarly, in the same vein, Jordan also mentioned Grayson Allen, been the second best driver on the team this season so far because Jalen hasn't been available. So 1B to Devin's 1A. If those guys are getting paint touches and now Mark Williams has rim pressure, help's got to pull in from somewhere at some point. If not, it's going to be feasting easy twos for the Suns, which feeds the beast for them.
I love that you can say what I want to say and make it sound so damn good. Look at this man.
I think I was just I get this feeling that it's gonna click like it's just gonna happen. Like it's not gonna be like this slow burn into things being like always gradually getting there. I think we're going to see a night and day shift. And as soon as Jalen is back and this team is healthy, and I know that that's kind of defeats the purpose of night and day, but I think it's just going to happen. It's not going to be they need to ease their way into it. They need to learn about it. It's been a long time coming, and we're just going to see a market shift. And I think that what we saw from him in the 3-point contest is a reminder, the jumper's not broken. It's not broken. It's never been broken. It's been a little more difficult and a lot of adjustment this year. But if this team can get healthy, I think that what we see from Devin Booker will change overnight, and we will see him have a really hot finish to the season, whether it's 25 games, 20 games, but it's trending in the right direction before the postseason.
Well, we mentioned Jalen Green a lot, but let's not forget that he's been playing without Grayson Allen for a big chunk of this season too, who obviously doesn't have the athleticism of Jalen Green, but is probably the second best behind Book at putting pressure on the rim effectively. He's probably the second best passer on this team besides Book, with especially the way he was been facilitating before he got injured, when he came back from injury in early January to when he exited with injury in February. So without Grayson Allen, a lot of that shot quality goes down as well. And as much as we love Dillon Brooks, and we'll talk about him here in a second, Dillon Brooks was never seeing like lots and lots of like exotic pressures and blitz and things like at him until Devin Booker was out of the game. I think teams are living with what Dillon Brooks is doing, and he's not exactly drawing like a mass amount of gravity, and he's taking advantage of that to his credit, but he's not going and getting a paint touch, right? Or exploding to the rim. He's methodically taking a mid-range shot, which doesn't create a ton of space unless you're Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, like one of these great mid-range operators. So I think having both of those guys on the court with Devin Booker will open all that up, and I just think Devin has to be better at hitting threes. That's the other part of this as well. It feels like it's feast or famine because he's been a part of the famine as well. Even when it's been an okay shot, or for what other people would be a bad shot, but for him it's a good shot, he still isn't hitting them at the rate that he needs to. So I think that picking up is also just going to make it feel better, because nobody cares if a shot's contested. They just care if it goes in or not. And they haven't been going in with Book as much as they usually did.
We both mentioned both Grayson and Jalen as far as helping unlock Devin, but I will continue to mention Mark Williams. Get him the basketball so that teams have to react to you and the threat of you getting him the basketball. So now his rim pressure is not just a nice to have. It's something that is helping you dictate to your opponents. Teams are almost ignoring Mark at times because they're saying the Suns aren't hitting him enough. Most of his impact comes from offensive rebounds. If you can hit him on rolls, find him and Devin's getting blitzed, they kick it to Royce, Royce kicks it to him from the wing, those instances we saw right before the break, that's something that can really shift what is their half-court offense from being middle of the pack to being closer to the top 10.
So I got a theory. I think Nash is actually James Jones' burner.
Nashty?
Nashty.
Yeah. Probably.
What up, champ?
Talk about how the Suns can't draft. If that was James Jones, he'd be like, well, the Suns at least had some good picks.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he'd admit that some of those drafts sucked.
That's fair. James Jones does seem to have a little bit more free time recently as well. But boom, Nashty Nash. If you're listening on audio, they're all the same person. It's been around for a while, so that'd be interesting.
And yes, Sam, I do understand that the Suns didn't trade the 10th pick for New Orleans' #1 pick this year, unprotected, coming up. And I also believe that if they had, New Orleans wouldn't be in full tank mode either. So there's a lot of things in life.
Well, New Orleans traded that pick to Atlanta, so they still don't have it, and they just suck.
Yeah, but
so they're losing it either
fair.
way.
We'll see. Could be one of those things that that was the biggest mistake they made. That.
Yeah, but also if they did that and they traded for it, I think that people would still find a way to be angry about it.
If it were fifths, we'd all be drunk.
That's right. Well, we've got 2 more questions left. Aiden, who is our newest MVP, asked about 15 questions in their Twitter response. We're going to answer 2 of them and then get to one final one. First question from Aiden is, can we fit Jalen back into the squad? I think that first game back for Jalen Green was explosive. It was electric. It was however you want to describe it. It was an otherworldly experience, maybe the peak of the season as far as how excited fans were getting. Can we get back to that point? I feel like is something that fans are wondering and hoping for with now this back part of the season.
My answer is yes, and I think it's the DNA and the identity of this team. A lot of guys who understand their role, and I think that guys who we talked about so much have been playing outside of their role for so long to the point where we don't even recognize how exhausting that it's been for them. And as much as these guys are prideful guys, I think that a lot of them are willing to each give up 2 or 4 shot attempts a game so Jalen Green can get his shot diet, so Jalen Green can be himself out there, because at the end of the day, it makes life easier for each and every one of them, and they get to win ball games. So I see no problem with the way this team is coached and the way this team plays for one another and the way this team enjoys seeing each other succeed, that Jalen Green and the way that he plays is going to be welcomed back in and will fit with this team so long as he has enough time to develop that chemistry.
offense was built around him and with the thought of it. So him fitting in, I think, isn't a question in terms of the system and those things, because they were designed with him in mind by Jordan Ott. And if he hadn't, we've talked about this, if he hadn't been around the team, if he hadn't actually built a relationship with these guys and being the first one to cheer them on and everything, maybe. But he's been there every step of the way. He is part of the fabric and the camaraderie of this team. I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, he's a puzzle piece that fits organically. He serves as a point of order restored for them. Jalen gets to play his game. Now Mark gets to play his game. Now Colin goes back to the role that this roster was built for him to play. Now Grayson plays more to his strengths while being able to use the things you learn without Jalen in the lineup, with Grayson in particular, as an in addition to. You learn more information about certain guys. Royce can do a little bit more offensively than just playoff catch and shoots for you. I think all of those things matter, but that order restore, like that master order restoring, because he's a top end piece, he really allows for you to dictate to opponents in ways that you just haven't been able to offensively.
I have no worries about Jalen Green, about fitting in when he's on the court. My worry is he going to be on the court? And that's only a question that time could tell. The next one, I think, goes hand in hand with this first question. These are the only two we're going to answer from yours, Aiden, because we kind of did talk about the rest of them earlier in the show and different questions. But can we lower Dillon Brooks' shot tendency? It does feel like, I don't want to say the tides have turned a little bit on Dillon Brooks, but fans at the beginning of the season were like, Dillon Brooks can do whatever he wants. And now we're kind of seeing like maybe we need to rein it in a little bit. Does that feel possible, or is that just hand in hand with Jalen's coming back, so maybe it's just going to happen naturally?
You don't want to mess with that, because that is a weapon for your team. You need someone that has that kind of brash and brazen approach to the offense. That's a looming weapon. It's not like he's been throwing up these shots and the efficiency and impact on the game hasn't been there. It's been there whether you've needed it or whether you just kind of stumbled into discovering it. Remember earlier in the season, a lot of the conversations are, man, Dillon Brooks is shooting the ball a lot. To now is, man, his pull-ups after 2 or 3 dribbles after we put the graphic up about a month or two ago is on par with the best isolation and post-up players in the league. That's not something you want to step on. You will say pick your spots better, but that doesn't mess with his tendency to shoot the ball, especially considering he usually gets it on the second side or third side after primary actions broke down and there's like 8 or 10 seconds left on the clock. You want somebody looking to move it and then get into another action, or do you want somebody just being go mode and put pressure on the defense? I think that's the latter more than the former on that one.
I think the thing with him, it comes back to me, I'm thinking back, I think it was the Lakers, it was a late game situation where he took a shot and Book did not seem too pleased with it. And
it was one that he took against Oklahoma City.
OKC. And Book said, look, we got to talk, we'll talk about that. And Dillon Brooks was also like, look, he understood that. So for all that we can talk about what Dillon Brooks is or isn't, he is not stubborn to that level, right? Everything that we've seen him do is for this team to win. And if there's a conversation of, hey, look, we're reducing your shot attempts per game from whatever it is right now back by 4 or 5. I don't think he's going to be the type of person that's throwing a tantrum and getting mad and freezing people out. Like, that's not who he is as a player. And again, how easy those shots are going to be, how much easier they are, right. He can be so much more efficient because life is going to be easier if and when we see this team, and we've been saying this for the last couple months, if and when this team is healthy and at full strength, life will just be way easier for him. So I don't think that it'll be some type of situation where he's mad about going from 20 points per game to 16 points per game, because his team is going to be winning because everybody will eat as far as it goes offensively. So I don't see him having some type of issue with dialing it back, because the reason he's dialing it back is because they're going to be at full strength.
And I think he said it himself, like, guys coming back means that he can get back to playing more impactful defense.
Well, the ball by rate, I mean, it's probably keeping him up.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly. Aiden says, just wanting him shooting a little less. For me, I don't even know if it's necessarily the amount of shots, it's what the shots are. What's been frustrating me recently has been the really poorly timed and quality of his three-point attempts. This guy gets the mid-range shot. He's literally shooting like an all-time great from the mid-range this season. It's incredible with the level of difficulty and the percentages he's able to hit.
All contested and self-created.
All of them. It's Kevin Durant and MJ like sometimes when he gets on a heater from the mid-range.
Either of those names on this program.
I'm just saying, On the court.
Oh, you can say MJ.
No, we
It's
can't.
his birthday.
We can't.
On the court.
Come
Cancel.
on, man.
Get bent, MJ. Happy birthday.
It's the threes. He was like 1 of 10 from 3 in their last game, right? And so for me, if you can maybe take away some of the poor quality threes, get some better quality threes when this team hopefully is fully healthy, and then take a couple of those threes and turn them into mid-range attempts or layup attempts, which he's been pretty okay at this season too. That is what I want. Not less, but different from Dillon Brooks. Any final thoughts on him before we get to our final question here?
I'm fine with Dillon playing how he's been playing. I think they're going
With the
to
blow-by rate, Steven. Come on, dude.
Jan, I raise your blow-by rate with top-tier help defensive decisions. And
I don't know. Nobody has put that on a nice little graphic for me to be able to change my entire game.
Yeah, you just didn't watching that episode. Anyway, Dillon taking these shots and showing the ability to rise to the occasion like this is going to matter when these games grow more meaningful, whether it's just simply clutch time of a game within 10 games of the finish line or the play-in or the playoffs. Switching happens. A lot of one-on-one defense takes place in the playoff settings. You need somebody that can go and win one-on-one. The Suns have, from what looked like only 2.5 guys to now probably 4 guys that can go win one-on-one in those situations. That's going to be a separator. You don't want to kind of play with that. You want guys to keep that edge.
Blow by rate sounds like a stat that you would have in your dating app profile, like when you look at the
You're flying a little too close to the sun.
Swept by you there. You know, like that's,
flying a little too close to the sun.
Who went left and who went right? Yeah.
My last thought, and it goes back to the numbers I want to see. Dillon Brooks is averaging 17.6 shot attempts per game this year. Last year, he averaged under 12 for a team that won 52 games. So, again, I think he'll be just fine with dialing it down, and all 5 of those shot attempts can go to Jalen Green. And even if he dials it down to 12.5 or 11.5, I think he'll be just fine with that. If the team is, going 18-9 over these last 27 games, I think Dillon Brooks will have no complaints about that.
Our final question is from our diehard Discord, Vigoda. Now, remember, if we didn't get to your question, we will either in written form or in a members-only video coming out tomorrow. But Vigoda asks, who is the best player of all time to wear number 35 for the Suns, and why is it Joe Klein? Now, I don't like it when we get disingenuous on here, and for me, the answer is so clear. There's obviously one guy that wore number 35 for this team, and I know that his stint here in the Valley wasn't as long as maybe it was expected to be, but I feel like the impact when he was here was beyond measure. So don't you ever disrespect Mirza Teletovic ever again in the rest of your damn life.
You and your damn Mirza Teletovic. The answer is clear, it's obvious, and the disrespect is ridiculous here. Dragan Bender is the GOAT to wear 35 for this franchise. I still own land on Bender Island, and if you're not there for it, you're just missing out here.
Steven, are you more of a Bayard Forrest guy or an Armand Gilliam guy?
Both great names.
When it comes to number 35s in Suns.
Like the former number 2 overall pick, Armand Gilliam.
I was about to say it's Armand if I got to answer the question.
Oh, come on.
The late great.
McDaniel?
The late great Armand Gilliam.
Let's be fair and give Joe Klein and Xavier McDaniel. Like Joe Klein is a Suns, legend there. Played a couple of years obviously from 93-97 and then came back in 99. I want to give him his love. It would be disingenuous to not give him his love either.
And Chandler Hutchinson. I mean,
who
doesn't forget Chandler Hutchinson?
Yeah, that's one to me is like, man, Chandler Hutchinson probably not one of the 35s I remember. He's certainly no Mirza Teletovic. He's certainly no Craig Dykema. Okay,
Mirza Teletovic, fantastic hair.
Oh, dude.
Fantastic hair when we used to interview him on post game.
Don't get me started with Mirza Teletovic, man. That one season where he set the NBA record off the bench in threes, that dude was insane. That dude was nuts. Go watch Mirza Teletovic tape, man. Go watch Mirza Teletovic tape.
Go watch the games.
If you're a recent Suns fan or if you checked out during that time period, go watch Mirza Teletovic's game, man.
If you actually go do that, I am very, very worried.
Are we missing anybody that wore 35? I think we checked all the boxes.
I mean, I don't want to get burned by forgetting anybody. I mean, I hope we're not sending some kind of message.
Now, in the rankings for 35s, could Mirza Teletovic get higher?
There's two guys that want nothing to do with this whole bit.
Between us, there's not a single shot without.
They want nothing to do with this bit.
You need double ISO cams. Shane, clip this. Holla at me, man.
The level of embarrassment could not get higher between these two. Well, that's going to wrap things up here on the PHNX Suns Mailbag Edition. Thank you for everybody who sent in questions. There were a lot of questions we couldn't get to on the show, but we will get into them either in a written edition. That's going to be for diehards only. Gil's going to be doing that. And of course,
that was quite a salute to the number 35.
yeah. There you go. I like paying homage to Suns history.
I do too.
Right? I like paying homage.
Gotta love a good history reference.
To the greats. Yeah, great history reference. Anyway, not to dictate any more of your time here, I just want to say thank you to everybody who sent in questions. We'll be answering some more of those in the video that comes out for members tomorrow, and then later for Die Hard Discord. Stephen, Haywood Highsmith film session sometime this week?
Yeah, for sure. We got that.
Tonight? Breaking news tonight?
Tonight. And Kevin said tonight in his Bernie Mac voice. But we also
have a new producer, by the way. Kevin's here.
We also will have a couple of other film session things lined up for you this week. So let the Highsmith one set the tone for you. Get to learn and know and see more about him and how those things that he's shown to be successful with will translate to the Suns and the things they already do as a team successfully. Have some fun with us, me and Kevin on that one, and then we got some other things lined up.
We did forget one. That Dickerson guy wore 35. That's right.
Devin Durant?
No, that he was in.
I think he wore number 7.
Yeah, and he was much higher. And that Devin Durant, that actual Suns player, look it up.
Number 70. Yeah, Devin Durant. Did anybody wear number 77 in Suns history?
No,
not yet.
Not yet. Not till Luke is here. Okay, let's get out of here. Come hang out with us on Thursday at Wild Horse Pass. Go phnx.com/events. No show tomorrow, but again, we'll have the members content, and you can also watch Steven's film study and their Espo will have Southwest bias. We still got you covered. And then Thursday, we're back. Pre-game, post-game shows, watch party.
Watch Erik win his bet.
Watching me. I'm going to hit my bet on Thursday. Guaranteed. You can catch it all right here on PHNX Suns. If you can't come here in person, watch the show. So subscribe. Hit the like button. Shout out Kevin behind the Mac now. You can follow Kevin at Kevo Post. Also covering a basketball team here at PHNX. You can follow Stephen at Stephen PG3. That's Stephen with a PH at every Suns practice, shoot around, Valley Suns game, home game, doing film breakdowns, everything that you need to be a more informed Suns fan. Blow by percentage's #1 fan, Stephen PridGeon-Garner. It's blow by percentage, and it's the Chicago Bulls. And then you got Espo. You can follow him at Espo. Catch him on Southwest Bias every morning. You can follow Gil McGregor _. You can follow me at ErikRuby. We'll talk to you all on Thursday.
We all silly like the mayor.